Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the PLP chairman questions Minnes's leadership ability now that another F&M senator has resigned. An MP calls for more attention to her island. And there's still a possibility for an F&M DNA coalition. Welcome to our news. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight, does the sudden resignation of Free National Movement Senator Lanisha Rolle'S signal a deepening divide within the F&M and ultimately dissatisfaction with the leadership of Dr. Hubert Minnis? Well, PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts seems to think so. In a statement last night, he said the vocal senator's resignation highlights growing unrest within the F&M and Minnis's failure to build the next generation of political leaders. He said Minnis is failing Leadership 101, a freshman course. Well, since becoming the opposition in 2012, the F&M has seen the resignation of quite a number of its senators. There was Shivargo Lang, Desmond Bannister, Heather Hunt, John Bostwick, Michael Pintard, and now Lanisha Rolle. Pintard resigned over the Peter Nygaard Louis Bacon dilemma, and Rolle yesterday resigned saying she needs to focus on personal matters. She was just appointed to the Senate last year, and in that short stint has ruffled quite a few feathers, most memorably her ridicule of some F&M MPs, mostly Long Island MP Loretta Butler Turner. She has since apologized for those comments. However, the PLP chairman said with a general election nearing, it seems the party is obviously facing intense infighting. Roberts said he knows there are people who would wish for him not to comment on the internal affairs of the F&M, but that he is merely reflecting the observations, opinions, and whisperings of tens of thousands of Bahamians at the spectacle. Well, this week, while addressing parliamentarians, Long Island MP Loretta Butler Turner questioned the lack of development in her constituency. She said she's been watching hotels and boutiques popping up on other family islands, but when it comes to the island she represents, nothing. And she said it's not just developments, but it's as if the island has been forgotten.
Just the other day, one of the smaller guest houses in Long Island, and I can be specific, in Salt Pond in particular, she has 6 beautiful rooms that she rents out. The water trucks broke down in Long Island, the bulk delivery, because we don't have piped water into that area. And guests actually had to leave her resort because there was no running water for them to bathe with.
Long Islanders are still recovering from the devastation left behind by Hurricane Joaquin. The Category 4 storm left hundreds displaced when it barreled through the island. Roofs were torn off, homes were flattened, and thousands of dollars worth of property was damaged. And many of the island's residents found themselves relocating to Nassau and other family islands.
The sad thing about it, Mr. Speaker, is I had a count of 3,028 people living on Long Island. Very small population prior to Hurricane Joaquin. Mr. Speaker, I am so sad to say today, if we have 2,500 people living on Long Island, we have a lot.
The 2016 hurricane season starts in just 3 weeks, and according to the Long Island MP, many of her constituents are terrified of what could happen as they haven't gotten their lives together as yet from Joaquin.
Right now, we still have homes that have tarps on the roofs. We still have homes that people cannot live in. We still, Mr. Speaker, have government buildings that have been ravaged by Hurricane Joaquin. And while we have done so much, Mr. Speaker, those people who still do not have a place to spend the night are thinking the clock is not ticking fast enough for them.
She said simple necessities needed that should be required by the government are inaccessible on the island.
NIB in Long Island. The new NIB cards are imperative that people have because they need them to get registered to vote for the new registration for whenever elections are called. We cannot get NIB cards in Long Island. We cannot get driver's licenses in Long Island. Person pulls over or gets in an accident, who's going to be charged because they don't have a driver's license? Can they say and stand up in court and say, I could not get my driver's license because the road traffic department in Long Island cannot produce a driver's license?
Well, Tourism Minister Obi Wolchcombe said he agrees with the Long Island MP when she says there needs to be more development in the family islands, particularly her constituency of Long Island.
But she's a member for Long Island, and she's absolutely right. She must argue for her constituency. We are focusing on Long Island because we know it does have a tremendous brand in the blue hole. Nobody's going to beat the blue hole, and everyone talks about the Dean's blue hole in the world. We want to spend more money into Long Island. We've done things with Long Island. In fact, we're one of the sponsors again for the regatta this year. We only started that last year with them because for many years they were not given assistance from the Ministry of Tourism, so we are.
The Ministry of Tourism has been quite active over the past few years promoting the Outer Islands and most recently Junkanoo Carnival internationally. The ministry has spent millions on ads, including the It's Better in the Bahamas ad that ran during the Super Bowl in 2014. But while Butler Turner feels more investment in tourism could be made in Long Island, Wilchcombe says there are a few adjustments that must be made to that island.
Long Island has work to do following Jacqueline, but we're going to work with Long Island. We're going to make sure that Long Island becomes that place where visitors want to go to. And so as a member of Parliament, we respect their argument. And, you know, I'm from the old school. When a member of Parliament argues position, your first approach must be to look at what they're saying, analyze what they're saying, and see how best you can assist.
Well, a coalition between the Free National Movement and the Democratic National Alliance could be the Progressive Liberal Party's worst nightmare, according to DNA leader Bramble McCartney. He said although no such coalition exists, it would be a surefire way to ensure the PLP does not stay in power. However, he said the FNM doesn't appear to want such a deal to take place. The DNA on Thursday night held the first political rally of this election season. While the party drew a crowd of just about 400 to Christie Park that night, the party's leader wasted no time in taking the government to task on several issues.
According to the Department of Statistics, the country's labor force consists of 195,660 persons. Of that number, more than 58,000 of persons currently unemployed are young, able-bodied men and women, all under the age of 24. Add to that number the thousands of Bahamians let go from Bahama, the hundreds of jobs lost to outsourcing within the bank sector, and countless others. And what we have is an issue reaching critical mass. Enough! Enough is enough!
According to the DNA's candidate for Marathon, if elected the government, the party has plans for Junkanoo Carnival as well.
A DNA government, we will revamp Junkanoo Carnival, and we will reintroduce a Bahamian authentic summer festival that promotes our very own Junkanoo and rake and scrape music, which will fully display our entire Bahamian culture.